my name is Adam and welcome back to my channel where I make a tabletop role-playing game from scratch on camera. And I don't really know how this episode will go. You see, I don't have a plan for this episode. I only have an idea in my head that I want to talk about. It all started with this post on Reddit. The content doesn't matter, the picture doesn't matter. What struck me was actually the folding of the sheet. And you might think I'm crazy because I get excited by seeing a folded sheet of paper, but I'm weird like that. I think character sheets are underutilized. It's mostly just information written on a sheet of paper so you can quickly look up what your character can and can't do. But I think this is a very limited use of a sheet of paper. You can flip it, fold it, use it as a wall. You can cut it. You can tear it, crumble it, and staple stuff to it. There are tons of stuff you can do with it. I mean, there's even the terrible RPG, where the main mechanic is that you slowly destroy your character sheet. And while talking about underutilized character sheets, look at this comment I received on Reddit 3 years ago. I've saved it because it's just so good. This would really work in a post-apocalyptic RPG, where the GM hands out different things like pencils, tape, permanent markers, etc. every session. This to simulate the scarcity of resources and how it affects the character's personality. In the end, you will have a personalized character sheet where each tier tells a story of the campaign. The idea is interesting and I would really like to make this RPG someday. Or give this idea away to you so you could make this game. So I'd like you to write down in the comment section different ways to alter a character sheet this way, because you probably got tons of ideas I haven't thought of yet. Anyways, back to the idea of mine. I think this folding is interesting. It's like a pamphlet design. You sort of have several sides of the character sheet, and what immediately springs to mind is the different sides are used for different modes of the game. Now, take this here. Let's say that this side contains core information about your character when it comes to adventuring and exploration. You have stats and skills, tells you what your character can do. You might have equipment and stuff here, and this part may be used for class-specific stuff. I haven't developed any class stuff yet, but at least here I'll put abilities and magic stuff your character can do. One thing that I think there's not enough of in RPGs are personalized character sheets. Dungeon World does this well by giving each class a specific character sheet. Now, it could be done a lot smarter if the character sheet is generated after you've made choices, but that also requires a player to go on the internet, click through a series of options and then generate the character sheet instead of just printing out something that works for all players. So I completely understand why they've not done it. The same goes for most RPGs. It's a lot easier to design one character sheet that fits all players rather than having the player have to generate them on their computer. But one thing you should think about when it comes to your RPG is that your RPG is very niche. Those who play your game are probably experienced players who've been through several other games. They won't be deterred from having to customize their own character sheet on their own. In fact, it's probably something they would think would be interesting about your game. Anyways, back to this. I imagine that I could design these two panels as class-specific ones. Then this flap here, I could use as a rule reference or something. Here I'll put useful information that you can occasionally need to use, because you can flip it back and forth like this if you need to. Another idea I've talked about in previous episodes was to use paper clips to track different things. Now I want to do that again. Here I'll put the health die I talked about last episode, and a supply die which I talked about in the inventory episode. This makes it easy to track, but I also found a super secret, fantastic mechanic with these paper clips, and that is this backside. Remember when I said you can use the character sheets in different game modes? Well, this side can be used for resting and camping. I don't have any resting and camping mechanic yet, but there's bound to be something. Maybe there's a background thing similar to one in D&D, which would give you some traits which is useful for travel. Maybe you track downtime activities such as crafting or training here. Maybe I have bonds or relationships here. I don't know. But something that is useful when you're camping, going into town, foraging for food, etc. And here's where the paperclip comes into play. On this side, I will add the requirements to heal and restock. And take this mock-up right here. You track the health die here. Every time you take damage, this goes down. And the health die is reduced. When you get back to camp, you flip the character sheet to the side, and this part works as a healing tracker. Now, I haven't thought about any healing mechanic yet, so this is bound to change. But here, let's say a roll of a D8 every morning after a full rest, and this is the target value to roll over. If you succeed, you move the paperclip upwards, which makes it easier to heal. Plus, on this side, you can increase your health die. I can also add more stuff here, descriptions of wounds, tracking of days, I don't know. As I've said, I haven't thought of any healing mechanic yet. A last feature about this side is that I can flip this back and forth. It's meant so that usually when you're walking through town or sitting by the fireplace, other characteristics come into play. Healing, restocking, trading, relationships, etc. But occasionally you'll need to roll some attribute check or something, and then it's easy to flip this back and forth to see your stats. Now, as I said in the beginning of this episode, I don't know how this episode is going to go. It's just a random thought about a very advanced use of character sheets. But I guess that's okay. I'm very interested in seeing character sheets being used for more than just listing stats. It's a physical object. You can interact with it in different ways. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode and that you've become inspired to add more cool mechanics which use the character sheets more actively. Tell me down in the comments if you have some more ideas. And of course, like and subscribe while you're down there. And don't forget to share this with your GM, they'll probably like it. See ya!